Introducing the main character jar. The main character jar is a miniature world of your own. Within your world, you are the center of the universe, and everything is made to help you on your journey. Just imagine you and all of your supporting friends in your very own main character jar. Worried about shutting the world out? Don't fret, just open the lid. Worried about not being able to live up to the main character jar's standards and imagination? Don't fret about that either, just pretend it's another struggle to overcome. Get your very own main character jar today by dialing into your local aesthetic authority. The Main Character Jar, brought to you by Artem Alexandra. Hello and welcome back, Artemers. I hope you are doing super duper well. If you are new here, you are now an Artemer, and I also hope you are super duper well. So, today we are going to be talking about the whole main character thing. So let's just dive right in. So we all go through our own hero's journey every day, throughout our whole life, or just many times over and over and over again. I've even made a video on my own hero's journey through college and university, and it was, its own struggle to overcome. But this does not mean that we are the main characters in the universe. Really, this only means that we are the main characters of our own lives and our own perspective. From Psychology Today, the trouble with main character syndrome is... Main character syndrome is when somebody presents or imagines themselves as the lead in a sort of fictional version of their life. Digital communication platforms make it easier for people to fall into the trap of main character syndrome. And main character syndrome could share traits with psychological problems like narcissistic personality disorder for a minority of people. So largely, social media places a large focus on you as an individual who can stack up on follows, likes, views, whatever it may be. Really anything that you can attach a number to. Via social media, this can tell you just how important you are or aren't. And of course, these are and aren'ts are just the feelings that we gain from these views and likes and follows and numbers that we have to control within ourselves. Cannot let these numbers affect our feelings. With social media, we are able to create a completely external version of ourselves, a digital self, if you will. And of course, there are many, many videos on this subject already, but as a philosopher, I have to add in my own 2 cents. So, here we go. So there is one concept that comes to mind with the whole main character syndrome thing. Of course, many concepts come to mind, but one that really sticks out, which is solipsism. You are the only being that can be proven to exist. From our loving Wikipedia, solipsism is the philosophical idea that only one's mind is sure to exist. As an epistemological position, solipsism holds that knowledge of anything outside of one's own mind is unsure. The external world and others' minds cannot be known or might not exist outside our mind. The mind. When we're online, we are largely alone in reality. And so we can create an entire digital world that revolves around us. Online or on social media, we're able to like and follow and curate our entire world where everything is either of our interest or helping us gain more follows and likes. We're also able to block people or entire pages, and to a certain extent, we can see around us only things that we would ever agree with. And this can largely come with a very negative side to it as well. It may sound fantastic to be around everything you love, but of course, this does come with its bad side. But to a large extent, we can't imagine ourselves as the only person that exists in the entire universe with a simple follow or block in curating our entire universe to be exactly how we want to see it. And so if you look at your phone online and someone else's, even the Google homepage, you'll see completely different outcomes and suggestions on articles to read. And this is because the world is handcrafted for you, babe. And each one of these is just making it so that your digital world feeds more into the digital you that you want to be in real life. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. On the curation of our entire online sphere, a few quotes from Nietzsche's Dawn come to mind, and so I would love to share them with you today. If you may, if you allow me to. From Friedrich Nietzsche, corruption. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. And so in suggesting a sort of solution to this, I did want to share another quote from him. Shedding one's own skin. The snake that cannot shed its skin perishes. So do the spirits that are prevented from changing their opinions. They cease to be spirit. So, with that, when we're online, curating our entire world of pristine beauty, we do sometimes find characters that we strive to be, or strive to become. And what's really unfortunate about this is sometimes that this can have its own downfall. Sometimes we may feel like we're not actually enough because our digitally curated world does not match our actual reality. And what we want to post online, we may not be able to afford. You want to be a clothing outfit of the day person? Maybe you can't afford to buy new clothes often. So sometimes this can make us feeling very dreadful, very bad, not good. But in turn, we become genuinely disheartened by our imaginative main character lives online and maybe lose more momentum in the reality as well. Again, from our loving Wikipedia, Solipsism syndrome. The syndrome is characterized by feelings of loneliness, detachment, and indifference to the outside world. Solipsism syndrome is not currently recognized as a psychiatric disorder by the American Psychiatric Association, though it shares similarities with depersonalization disorder, which is recognized. While thinking about the main character whole scope of things, this really got me thinking about the entire depressed fall of not living up to the digital image you want to present, and how this can be a complete burnout for main character syndrome in and of itself. If you aren't enough, you will become very sad. And so for us today, main character burnout is then feeling like a non-person, not main character or yourself at all. Both depersonalization and derealization can sometimes feel like an out-of-body experience, but this is largely because you do not feel attached to anything around you. You are detached from your surroundings as well as yourself, sometimes, for some people. Now, I don't want this to sound as judgmental, but I've watched a number of videos, maybe from Leon Lush, where he shows many plastic surgeons are worried about people because of filters online. Say filters that make you look prettier or realistically just, slightly different, maybe even sometimes completely unrealistic. But sometimes people will want to look more like their filtered selves and get like larger lips, smaller nose, different jawline, maybe even a tattoo because they saw it on a filter, changed their entire hair, got eye color changes, like they want to live up to their digital self. All of this is probably just because we can alter ourselves so much digitally every day. But then to a certain extent, at that point, life and reality become boring or just completely unacceptable. Again, I really don't want to come off as judgmental here. I worry about people. I don't want people to go and get, elf ears just because they think they look perfect with them. Sometimes you're just not perfect. That's what we all have to live with. Nobody is. So you do you, but never hurt yourself. That's what I say. And don't bankrupt yourself. Just saying. From Business Insider. 4 signs you may have main character syndrome. Main character syndrome is a term popularized on TikTok to describe self-centered, out-of-touch people. Having main character energy typically means someone sees the people in their life as supporting actors in their movie. Red flags include: everything is about you and your problems. You frame yourself and your life as perfect. You aren't good at taking criticism. You feel out of control in your everyday life, so you try to take reins back as the main character. Other definitions of main character energy in a more positive way may include things just like having a bold personality, maybe just standing out from the crowd and being awesome. So, not everything about being a main character energy having person may be entirely bad until it is bad. So, watch out. In looking at the more severe sides of main character syndrome as well as solipsism syndrome, we can see a sort of spectrum of either believing you are the complete shit or a total piece of shit. So either the world revolves completely around you or the world could easily go without you. And if you ask me, both of the ends of this spectrum are extremely dangerous. Though I do believe that the real danger in main character syndrome lies in the whole using other people as a means to an end, aka having supporting actors in your movie. This may include that everything you see in the entire world is for you to use as you see fit, as a means to your end. This includes things like social media, people. No longer do we form friendships, we only form collaborations. But the downfall here is that as soon as we do not feel good enough, our main character's story is no longer good enough to tell. I don't want to give any spoilers here, but I'm currently in the middle of the book Haunted by Chuck Palahniuk, and it is absolutely hilarious in how the characters use other people as a means to an end to then have a profitable story to sell. It is a very meta book, and so if you are interested in that sort of like spooky, gross, meta, funny, I would definitely suggest you read it, but it is a super rated R, so keep that in mind. So I asked you guys on Instagram, what would you name your life if it was a movie or a book or a TV show or anything like that? My beautiful sister, little Daisy Drew, answered, and only, because that's the set of words I get stuck in my head when I'm having a hard time. And of course, in books and stories, it's all about the struggle of the protagonist and overcoming it. And so, as I said in the beginning of the video, we are all on our own hero's journey. We all have struggles, a whole life's a struggle, and we have to overcome this. And when we do, we find ourselves better and stronger and more powerful, and we thank whatever source of power we believe in for giving us the struggle to overcome. We are main characters, it's true, but only from our own perspective and our own little bubble. We have to realize that other people are main characters too. For all of you like super Nietzsche nerds out there, when coming to the writing of the conclusion to this script, I realized the spectrum between the main character syndrome and solipsism syndrome is very similar to the tightrope walker and the tightrope between animal and Ubermensch in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, where man is the tightrope walker between these two pillars, and below us is the abyss. With that in mind, I think we should definitely look to the positive side of main character energy or syndrome, or maybe just being an Ubermensch, because we all want to set our own values in life and see our whole world as what we want to create. That's beautiful. What we have to watch out for, though, is the negative sides of the burnout in thinking we're nothing, we're alone and detached and awful, or thinking that we're just completely better than everyone else and we can use people as a means to an end. These cannot happen. So go ahead and define your own values in life. Inch towards the Ubermensch pillar of our whole tightrope walk here, and try not to be influenced by society. Of course that sounds impossible because, as you know, we live in a society, but it's the attempt that makes us who we really are. It's the daily practice of subduing society's influence on us and just realizing what we authentically want and want to be and want to see around ourselves and want to curate and create. But again, the trick here is don't use other people as supporting actors in your movie. In the end, there is definitely a positive side to this entire huge topic, and maybe building a miniature version of my dream home is my, kind of like The Secret, the power of manifestation, visual boarding, vision boarding, create what you want to see in the world. So again, I want to leave you with this. I am the main character of my own little world. You are the main character of your own little world. And we have to realize that we are all the main characters of our own little world. And maybe we can choose to be supporting actors of each and every one of those. Because if you have dreams and I have dreams, why not share the love of being fruitful? There's nothing wrong with being supportive to other people, as long as you're not doing it as a means to an end, like my whole video on benevolence. Go check it out and watch that. Be nice for no reason, please. And to end that whole rant, our little worlds exist, but our entire world has its own big bubble as well, that we are all supporting actors in. So be good to the actual main character of our planet. And be a good person. Reduce, reuse, and recycle, and all that goodness. Also, like other people, like the whole idea of ethnocentrism and bubbles upon bubbles upon bubbles. There's so much to talk about, so thank you so much if you've made it here all the way to the very end of the video. If you did, please leave a comment on what your main character jar would look like if you made one. I would absolutely love to know. Believe me, if it was easier to make miniature things, this house would have a lot more details. But with that, I will let you go. Thank you so much for spending some time here today with me, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or evening or whatever it may be. So I love you. Bye. That's just the way it is. Stop the.
For one of these days that will never end, that you seem to spend for hours on end, switching back and forth, 10-inch, 67-inch, 4-inch, 4K, 1080p. You're wasting your time, not making friends. You don't understand, where did they all go? Now what you have to say, stuff